Hello, I'm Gabriel Daniels, and I'm coming to you from Dreams of Entertainment magazine. I'm sitting here with the executive director of the African Poetry Theater, John Watusi Branch. And sir, it is a pleasure to be here with you today.
No, it's good to be here with you.
To interview you because I know that this place has been here for 34 years in the African American community, and there are just a lot of questions that I want to ask you. And the first question is, what would you like to tell people about the African Poetry Theater?
Well, I would like to say that the African Poetry Theater is a multicultural center that serves the whole family, the whole community. It serves small children, teenagers, and adults, and also seniors. And that we like to think that we are a cultural resource for the African American and African Caribbean community.
Okay. All right. How long have you been in the community?
Well, 34 years. We've celebrated 34 years last October. So we're going into our 35th year this year, 2011.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a struggle, though. It hasn't been easy. But it's been rewarding, to do this kind of work, cultural and educational work that we do here.
Okay. All right. When did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, much longer than before we actually started this. I say we because there were two of us who were poets who came up with the idea of merging poetry with music. And so actually the first 2 years, the African Poetry Theater was an ensemble of performing artists. We had poets and musicians and singers, and we used to perform for a couple of years. And then we, after that, we founded a space, not this one. The first space was on Merrick Boulevard, and then we started to have workshops, poetry workshops, writing workshops, and lectures. And we started at that point, and then it just the programs began to grow more and more as people asked for certain programs. We just brought it, but I guess it all started with coming out of myself being a product of the 60s, because the African Poetry Theater started in 1976. Being a product of the 60s and being involved in some of the black arts movement at that time, the poetry, the music, the social activism, there was always this need that I thought that we need to center some of these activities. They were all over the place. That we need to center some of these in a center where all the artists could come together to give back to the community, to teach, to express themselves, and some of the great teachers that came through here, the great historians, to give back some of that, because that was a part of the 60s too, teaching the people, making that link to Africa, making that link to our history and culture. And so we just figured that, hey, we need to censor this, just to bring it together so we can give it back in an organized manner.
Okay, all right. What is your dream for the community?
Well, the dream for the community is that that the community becomes aware, particularly the African community, which encompasses the African American, African Caribbean, that the community become conscious of the history and culture, and that will empower them, because this is what we need to do, to be empowered. And that's my dream, that our community becomes empowered, and at the same time the larger community, that they will absorb and have a taste of our rich culture, so that they can have more respect for who we are, and that we can all perhaps get along a little better together. Yeah.
It's a dream that we all want.
Right.
How can people get in contact with you?
Well, they can reach us here at our phone number, 718-523-3312. They can email me at jwatusi@AOL.com, or they can go to our website, africanpoetrytheater.org, and that's AFRIKAN, poetrytheater.com. .org, I'm sorry.
Okay. What is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Well, the legacy for the African Poetry Theater, or for myself, for the African Poetry Theater, we want to leave an institution that will last forever. We're about to embark on the construction project, and it's a substantial size project that will really turn this building into a state-of-the-art. And the money's been secured already through both President Helen Marshall, Honorable Helen Marshall, and City Councilman Honorable Leroy Comrie. They have put approximately $5 million into the project. So we're looking for that construction to start this summer, and to really turn this into a state-of-the-art. And then we, I personally, I like to leave this legacy and build institutions that we did years ago in ancient Egypt, Kemet, institutions that last forever. So that's my goal that I'd like to leave, and the legacy of what the African Poetry Theater has contributed to the community.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. What is the vision that you have for the youth that not only come in here, but the youth that don't have a mother or father to basically guide them? What is the vision that you have for them?
Well, that vision, we deal with youth in many ways, rites of passage programs we've always dealt with. And our vision is that the youth should know themselves. If they truly knew themselves, then they would know that there are no barriers and no heights that they cannot climb, because that is so important to know yourself. So I think that the youth need to know their history and their culture, and that is missing. In today's youth, a lot of leadership came out of earlier periods of young people. Young people have changed the course of history. Certainly in this country, all during the 60s, all of that turmoil in the South, the resistance, the segregation, and all of the SNCC movements and so forth, those were young people. Those were young people who led it. Even Martin Luther King was a young person. He died at the age of 39, but when he was in his 20s, he was leading the marches in Selma, Alabama, and so forth. So it's always been young people that have made the greatest change in history. And so I think that if the young people knew themselves, then they would begin to change the world again as they did in the past.
Okay. All right. What kind of activity takes place at the African Poetry Theater?
Oh, there's a long list of them. I don't know where to begin, but we have cultural programs in a category, and then we have social development programs. Cultural programs, we have poetry readings, open mics, writers' workshops, plays, concerts, music concerts, film showings, gallery exhibition, and our location 2 doors down, we're gonna open up an exhibit tomorrow for 3 days. Close that door. Close that door.
I see there's always children around here.
There's always children, yeah. Yeah, we doing an interview, so. Okay. What you gonna do there?
Okay. What kind of activity takes place here at the African Poetry Day?
Well, we have cultural programs like concerts, music concerts, jazz concerts, R&B concerts, writers' workshops, open mics, poetry reading, films, plays, art exhibits. Matter of fact, tomorrow, a brother from Mauritania, West Africa, he's opening up an exhibit 2 doors down, which we're using that space also. And then we have social development programs like rites of passage and after school programs for youth, a summer youth employment program, and we have tours to Africa for adults and for teens.
Okay. That sounds good. It's very positive.
Mhm.
What can people do in the community to help keep the spirit of the African Poetry Theater alive?
Well, one thing we always urge them to do, become members. Become members, become dues-paying members, because one of the challenges of keeping this place open, and it's getting more difficult as each year goes by, instead of getting easy, and that's financial support. Become members and become members, $50 a year, and you will help us to keep afloat. And also you will, belong to something. You get your membership card, your tax exempt letter, and we give you a free ticket to a concert also for that contribution. So we're asking the community to support us financially more. And also to come into the programs, and enjoy the programs that we offer. We've been around a long time, but there's still a lot of people that don't know about us. We've got 7,000 people on our mailing list, which we mail these out to, but still, that's a drop in the bucket to 300 and some odd thousand people in Southeast Queens. So a lot of people don't know about us, and a lot of people do.
Okay. Where do you see the African Poetry Theater in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I see the theater as being a major cultural institution in this city. It's already a very important one. But I think that when we get this renovation project in, it will attract more people. And so I see us as being a major institution in the next 10 years.
Okay. All right. Once again, Mr. Branch, it is my pleasure. I thank you for sitting here, taking out the time to talk to me.
Sure.
And once again, my name is Gabriel Daniels, and I'm from Dreams Up Entertainment.
Good.